While there are layers of grief, celebrations of accomplishments that didn't happen, family vacations, visit with friends, summer camps. My focus today is on grief of the loss of a special person. I'm going to start with developmental grief. Most of us have a background in the differences of the way that people in different developmental stages experience life. A lot of our families may not have the same information. So I'm going to present a concise way of kind of conceptualizing the developmental responses to grief. From ages 2 to 4 years old, this stage doesn't fully understand that death is permanent and universal. They are most likely to express themselves through their behavior and play. The concept of death at this age is seen as reversible, and kids may start to wonder if death happens to everyone. You might hear questions like, "My mom died, when will she be home? And will you die too? And what about me?" Common responses to grief for children in the age group of 2 to 4 years old are generalized anxiety, crying, irregular sleep, clinginess and needing to be held, irritability, temper tantrums, and telling the story to anyone, including strangers. They may also have repetitive questions or demonstrate behavioral regression. They may need help with tasks they've already learned. Ways to help children in this age group is to create a consistent routine to reestablish safety and predictability, especially around starting and ending the day. Provide short, honest explanations of the death. Mommy died, her body stopped working. Use words dead and died. Avoid euphemisms such as gone, passed on, or lost. They may think at this stage, because death is reversible, that they might come home or they might be found. Answer questions honestly, set limits, but be flexible when needed, and provide opportunities to play. Give choices whenever possible. For example, do you want hot or cold cereal? Offer lots of physical and emotional nurturance. 5 to 8 year olds are exploring their independence and trying tasks on their own. They're very concrete thinkers with a tendency towards magical or fantasy thoughts. Their concept of death at this age, they often see death as reversible. They can also feel responsible and worry that their wishes or thoughts cause the person to die. They may say things like, "It's my fault, I was mad, and I wish you'd die." Some common responses to grief for 5 to 8 year olds are disruptive sleep and changes in eating habits, repetitive questions, how, why, who else, concerns about safety and abandonment, short periods of strong reaction mixed with acting as though nothing happened. They may have nightmares. They also may have regressive behaviors, then they may need help with tasks they've already learned. For example, bedwetting or tying their shoes. They often demonstrate behavior changes such as high or low energy, kicking or hitting, and often have physical complaints, tummy aches, headaches, or body pains. Ways to help are to explain the death honestly using concrete language. Be prepared for repetitive questions. Provide opportunities for big energy and creative play, and allow children to talk about their experience and ask questions. Again, offer lots of physical and emotional nurturance, and give choices whenever possible. For example, your room needs to be cleaned. Would you like to do it tonight or tomorrow morning? Unlike deaths due to other causes, when someone dies due to COVID-19, families might not have had an opportunity to say goodbye prior to the death or participate in a mourning ritual. Participation in mourning rituals help even very young children to begin their mourning processes by offering them opportunities to witness what happens to the bodies after death. and they also benefit from support available. Children will naturally want to know why their person got the coronavirus and COVID-19. They need to know that it wasn't their fault or the fault of the person who died. The disease is highly contagious. So even if they were practicing social distancing and using gloves and masks, the disease was passed to them by someone who had COVID-19. Because it's a new virus, there was no vaccine to prevent their person from getting the disease. If the source of the contamination is unknown, tell the child that it's unclear how their person caught the disease. Kids will want to know if they're going to get COVID-19 and die too. It's important to let them know that although the disease is highly contagious, most people who get it recover and don't die. Let your child know who would care for them if you were unable to care for them. This will give them a sense of control over a situation that is making them feel scared and helpless. For kids ages 8 to 12 years old, elementary school age kids may be concrete thinkers, but they're beginning to understand abstract ideas like death and grief. They often start making closer connections with friends and activities outside their home and family. Their concept of death at this age, kids begin to understand that death is permanent and start thinking about how the loss will affect them in the long term. Some children will focus on the details of what happened to the body of the person who died. Feelings of guilt and regret can lead to concern that their thoughts and actions made the death happen. They may say or think things like, if I'd done my homework, my teacher wouldn't have died. Or, I think it was my fault because I was mean to my brother. Common responses to grief between the ages of 8 and 12 are to express big energy through behavior, sometimes seen as acting out. Anxiety and concern for safety of themselves and others. They may have a feeling that the world is no longer safe. They may have worries about something bad happening again, difficulty concentrating and focusing. Nightmares and intrusive thoughts, physical complaints including headaches, stomach aches, or body pain. They often use play and talk to recreate the event and ask detailed questions about death and dying. They often demonstrate a wide range of emotions: rage, revenge, guilt, sadness, relief, and worry. Hypervigilance, increased sensitivity to noise, light, movement, and change. Withdrawal from social situations. Ways you can help kids in this developmental stage are to inform yourself about what happened. Answer questions clearly and accurately. Even though children this age are starting to grasp abstract thought, it's still helpful to use the words dead and died and avoid euphemisms such as gone, passed on, lost, or expired. Provide a variety of activities for expression: talk, art, physical activity, play, writing. Help kids identify people and activities that help them feel safe and supported. Maintain routines and limits, but be flexible when needed. Give children choices whenever possible. For example, would you like to set the table or put away the dishes after we eat? Work to reestablish safety and predictability in daily life. Model expressing emotions and taking care of yourself. Be a good listener. Avoid giving advice unless asked for it. Also avoid analyzing or dismissing their experiences. For ages 13 to 18 years old, teens are cognitively able to understand and process abstract concepts about life and death. They begin to see themselves as unique individuals, separate from their role in the family, and they may wrestle with identity and who they want to be in the world. There can be significant changes in their priorities, spirituality, sexuality, and physical appearance. Teens often rely on peers and others outside the family for support. While teens understand death is permanent, they may have unspoken magical thoughts of the person being on a long trip. They may also delve into questions about the meaning of life, death, and other traumatic events. Some common responses to grief for teenagers include withdrawal from the family or other support networks, and focus on connection with peers. Increased risk taking, including drugs or alcohol, unsafe behavior, or reckless driving. They may demonstrate inability to concentrate, school difficulties, pushing themselves to succeed and be perfect, or just giving up. They may have difficulty sleeping, lack of appetite, or eating too much. They are often unpredictable and at times intense emotional reactions: anger, sadness, guilt, relief, anxiety. They may be uncomfortable discussing the death or their experiences with parents and caregivers. They may worry about the safety of themselves and others, fear death or violence happening again. They may also experience confusion over role identity in the family. They may demonstrate attempts to take on that caregiving parent role with younger siblings and other adults. They may also have thoughts of suicide or self-harm, hypervigilance or increased sensitivity to noise, movement, or light. Ways to help teenagers are to reinforce assurances of safety and security, even if teens don't express concerns. Maintain routines and set clear expectations, but again, be flexible when needed. Allow for expression of feelings without trying to change, fix, or take them away. Answer questions honestly, and provide choices whenever possible. Also, it's important to adjust expectations for concentration and task completion when necessary, and assist teens to connect with support groups, including other adults. Model appropriate expressions of grief and ways to take care of yourself. It's often helpful to ask teens open-ended questions. For example, what's it like for you? And listen without judging, interpreting, advising, or placating. Have patience with teens' wide range of reactions and questions, and seek professional help for any concerns around self-harm or suicidal thoughts. Grief in the time of COVID-19 is different in that it's hard to substitute technology for in-person hugs, tears, nods of understanding. And on top of this, the person we would have turned to for support in all of this might be the person who died. It's important to try to stay connected while being physically apart. Now, grieving families face greater risks of social isolation, including their grief being minimized or forgotten in the face of this global health crisis. It's important to engage families in self-care, and that means attending to physical, mental, and emotional health in whatever ways are accessible to parents and children. Kids and teens are tuned into the adults in their lives and are watching for cues and leadership about how to respond. Grieving children and teens are already more likely to be concerned about health and safety, and these fears may grow stronger at this time. Engaging in family self-care is one way to help them cope with these worries. Also, make room for whatever emotions and thoughts come up for you and your children. Whatever each of you are feeling or thinking, consider responding with something like, "It's okay you're feeling this way, thinking those thoughts. I'm so glad you shared them with me." What would be the most helpful in this moment? And take time to attend to your own emotional state so you're aware of what you bring to interactions with your family. I hope these ideas and information have been helpful for you with the families that you work with. At the end of this presentation, I've included a PDF with resources for information and support for the people in your life and practice in examining and experiencing grief in the time of COVID-19. Thank you for listening. Please check out other podcasts in this series made by my colleagues at Alaska Telepsychology. Topics include resilience, duct tape summer camp, easy expressive arts, couples issues, and typical responses to atypical circumstances. This is Mary Palko, clinician at Alaska Telepsychology. Please take care of yourself and stay safe and well.